Hello and welcome back to Into the Dungeonverse. This is week 2, episode 7 of our show. Thank you for tuning in. This is brought to you by New Minds Enrichment and newminds.tv. So we are testing out a screen share option today where you have the ability to follow along the adventure that I have here. You can see that, or you can probably hear, my son is in the background. He's providing some music for us. So grab your pencil and grab your paper. We will be starting again with our quest soon. Make sure that you have any coins or buttons that you can mark on one side. Hi, I see we have our first viewer. It's good to know that we are in fact live. Thank you all for coming in. This is take 3. I'm sorry if you missed our first couple and that we are a little late. My son is finishing feeding our fish and then he'll be heading out. So come on in, get settled. Oh, Malcolm, you can feed Yupatar in a little bit, okay? Bye-bye. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are official. We are live. Thank you for being here. As I said, this is Into the Dungeonverse, week 2, episode 7. I am so glad to... Well, you can't see me, but I'm so glad to be here with you today. We are going to be continuing our journey from last time. So as I said, grab your pencil and grab your paper. Grab your coins, grab your d20s, your regular sided die, anything you need to do this quest. If you don't know how to play, we will be covering the rules very quickly here at the beginning, but remember that these rules are, hey everyone hopping in, these rules are ones that we make up at home. I will help you, and I have some guides for you. If you watched Mr. Dorian's 3 through 5 video yesterday, he actually talked about probability and difficulty, so if you watch that, you can implement that in your videos today. So feel free to hop in the chat, let me know that you're here, and we're going to move on into the Dungeonverse. So first up, I wanted to show you on our screen some of the tables that you can roll on. I mentioned this yesterday, but I wasn't able to show you on my screen. So take a quick look, and you can see there's a blank one on the left. You can print this out and fill it in, or you can just copy that template on your own paper. Or you can print out, if you have access to a printer and you're not running low on ink, make sure to ask your parents' permission before you do this. You can print off the one that's already filled out. The way this works is you just try to toss something by closing your eyes, crumple up a little piece of paper, toss it on that table. Wherever it lands tells you the result of the action. Sometimes I might tell you to roll on that twice, and then I might tell you to take the worst or the better option depending on the difficulty of the task. So these will be dropped in the comments for you to see and for you to have access to. And here is the one that's all filled out, just a little bit bigger so you can see it more easily. Feel free to drop in the comments, what method are you using at home? Are you using dice? Are you flipping a coin? Are you using d20s? Are you using this table? I know Mr. Justin was using this table yesterday. He made his own. Catalina, good to see you. Thank you for hopping in. Sorry we're late today. Technical difficulties. So there's a quick look at what our randomization table can look like. Feel free to look in the comments for those PDFs or in yesterday's video. And there is a small instructional video. So I want to take a quick look at our character sheet. You all are making your character sheets at home, and we are back in the lab on the back end working on creating a character sheet template for you. That will be coming as early as tomorrow. This is your record of what happens in your journey. This does not have to be a character sheet like in Dungeons & Dragons or another role-playing game. This is just for you to record what happened. Where did your journey start? What is your character's name? What weapon or weapons do they use? And you do need to keep track of your hit points, because sometimes, depending on the choices that you make, you may take damage. And if your character reaches 0 hit points, well, yesterday, they ended up waking up back in the cage where they started. Thank you for those of us who are just joining. We are working on our character sheets right now. Go ahead and grab a pencil and paper, and you can fill one of these out for yourself. You'll mark where your journey started, what the first event was, and you know what? I actually have one filled out for you. If any of you tuned in last week and you saw Gorby's story as he was captured by a troll and then had to escape a cage and decide whether he wanted to look for treasure or run away, here's his character sheet. His journey started and he escaped a cage. So journey start, I might write out a little bit of a story like Gorby was walking along when a troll came and took him. All he had was the chicken bone in his pocket. So he dug out using a gem that was voted on by our audience members, and then he knocked out a troll with a chicken bone. The troll fell into the pile. So we can see this is a little record, and we know exactly where he left off at the end of the last episode. He's still lost in that cave. So that is a little sample of how that looks for him. But let's take a look at example, this character that I made. His weapon is what you want, whatever you want. He woke up in a cage. And this is a little bit of a recap for you. So if you didn't catch yesterday's episode and you would like to know what happened, this is some of the options that occurred, but there were different choices and different ways to go. So he woke up in a cage. He saw bats and he hid by a rock and they passed him by safely. He found a river and swung on a vine and made it across. A boulder fell and he hit it, broke it, and got 3 gems. So I might mark that somewhere on my sheet. That might come in handy later. I could spend it. Then there was a large cavern, and I took the minecart, but I hit my head, which is why my hit points are a little lower now. Then I found an exit. I ran out without looking or trying to investigate anything, and I was ambushed by a giant snake monster. I attacked the snake monster and was somehow successful. I broke its fang, and now, clutching that fang, I'm running for the other exit I spotted. So there's a quick recap of how your character sheet might look. Yours is going to look a little bit different because you probably made different choices than example, our character here. So make sure you have everything you need to begin your game, and we are going to start exactly where we left off. If you don't know what we're doing yet, just get a pencil and paper and we're going to figure out what it looks like for you. I'm going to give you 1 minute and then we will begin. I'm curious to know, what kind of characters do we have out there? Do we have a lot of wizards? Do we have barbarians using giant axes? What are we looking at in our characters? I know someone's using a crossbow out there, so maybe a ranger or a rogue. Whatever your character is, it is time for them to continue their quest. Let us begin. You are running from the serpent towards the other exit, the only one in sight. As you run toward that exit, you climb. You scrabble over the rocks. You can hear the serpent slithering behind you, hissing. If you hit it and broke its fang earlier, it's probably pretty angry. If you didn't, then it seems like it's not as it's chasing right after you, and it's not really intimidated, it's not angry, it's just hungry. And you're running from it. You scrabble up the rocks, and as you make it to the edge of the barrier, you hear the snake stop. It is no longer moving. It is no longer following you. It glares at you with its snake eyes before hissing and leaving. It seems as if it can't or won't leave the cave. It slinks back into the shadows. Any attempts you make to get its attention fail. Any ranged weapons that you use to attack it seem to just bounce off of an invisible barrier at the cave, one that you seem to not be able to pass through either. Well, wherever you're going to stay tonight, it's not going to be in this cave, though you probably didn't want to. You're going to have to continue searching. You wander into the forest. There is no sign of civilization. It's raw and untamed. The forest outside is overgrown with moss and lichen and ivy on each tree. You can see rocks spread about. You have to wander for some time before you see any signs of civilization. But you do note how quiet it is out here, how peaceful. The birds singing, the life seeming to hum within the woods. You're walking for some time, just looking, trying to find any indication of where you might be. The trees are so tall, but they have very few branches, very challenging to climb. And if you do climb to the top somehow, all you would see is more trees for miles. You are walking for some time, and you think that you're standing in what might be a depression, or a hole or a ditch that has been dug by some creature. But when you look down, you see that It actually is a footprint, a paw print, an animal print of some kind, but it's massive. It's bigger than anything you've ever seen. You are standing in the base of it. You see the track leading. The next step is very far away, many, many, many feet from you. You think whatever made this must have been enormous, towering. You wonder how it got through the woods with such a massive size. And you think whatever this was, this might have been the source of that rumbling you felt earlier, the one that made your cage fall from the ceiling. You quickly move on, because it makes you nervous. Something this big, surely it couldn't be around still. So, your character sheet for today, go ahead and fill it in. What has happened? You left the cave, you found a print. Did you stay and investigate for longer than I said? Did you perhaps hurry up on out? What did you do? Write that down, and remember that the conclusion of our story today does come at the end. Not as a whole, just for the story today. I do see the character sheet has been dropped in the comments, so if you want a sample character sheet, you can print that off, or you can use it as an example. I see Rishi is here, back again, and he is cooking his fish. That seems like a smart idea. You're probably pretty hungry. It could be Bigfoot. Maybe. I don't think so. This is much too large. What you see was massive. Finally, though, you do find a dirt path. It seems as if you were walking for maybe 20-30 minutes away from where the cave was and where you found the paw print, the footprint. But you finally find a dirt path, and it seems to be heading steadily in the same direction. So without any other clue of where you are, you begin to follow this path. Does your character move hastily? Does your character take their time and examine the trees and the leaves that are next to them? And now I will have you make your first roll or your first randomization attempt for today. As you are walking on this wood path, there is a log crossing, and you might not see it. Let's see if you trip on the log. This is an easy roll, so that means that the challenge should be easy. If you're making up your own rules, try not to make it too hard for this. So if you are flipping coins, I want you to flip, and if you get one head, you're going to see the log and be able to not fall on your face. If you get a 2 or higher, if you're using a regular sided die with 6 sides, go ahead and roll that. If you get a 2 or higher, you are successful. You're able to see the log or dodge it. Make sure that you don't trip. If you're using a d20, you need to get a 7 or higher to not trip on this log. And finally, if you are using our randomization table, you can roll twice on it and take the better of the options. So if you get a failure and a success, you can choose success. Go ahead and roll now and see if you tripped on a log or not. If you did trip on the log, you are going to take 1 damage. And I'm going to roll for something else. We'll see if perhaps... fortunately, you missed the pile of perhaps bear droppings that was very nearby. You count yourself lucky if you did trip. Catalina says, wow. Catalina, are you enjoying our journey? Are you questing along with us? Or are you enjoying the very pretty pictures? Rishi says he didn't trip. You continue along the wooden path. It's peaceful, the birds sing, nature is all around you. You find yourself possibly enjoying this. Or maybe not. Maybe it's something that you don't enjoy as much. Maybe you prefer to be in the city next to a fireplace. But the path splits ahead. You can see that the path goes left and the path goes right. The hill seems to get larger ahead of you, and it appears that the paths take separate ends. They go around either side of a hill. They appear to go generally the same direction. Which path do you choose? Left or right? If you want to investigate, if you want to try to determine what might be down the path, You can roll or do a randomization again. This time it is of a medium difficulty, so if you are flipping a coin, you will need 2 heads in a row to succeed. If you are using a d6 or a 6-sided die, you will need a 4 or higher to succeed. If you're using a d20, you will need a 12 or higher. And finally, if you're rolling on your table, just roll once and take what you get. No choosing this time. I'll give you a minute to get your randomization and see if you were successful or not. And if you were successful, from the right path, you will smell a sweet smoke, like wood burning, perhaps food? But you're not sure. Which path do you choose? We will go down the left path first. Let us go. As you travel along the left path, you see a strange knotted tree leaning over. This one seems to be well worn down or well taken care of, which is odd so far deep in the middle of the woods. You walk, perhaps with trepidation, perhaps confidently, perhaps with no fear at all. And as you're walking through this area, as you're passing the knotted tree, you get the strange feeling that you're being watched, as if something in the wood is looking at you. Let's see if you spot... Rishi says he will stop and cook his fish, perhaps by the knotted tree. So if you are on the left path right now, I'm going to need you to roll to see if you find the source of this feeling of being watched. This is a hard roll. This is our first one for today. So if you are doing a coin method, you are going to need to get 3 heads in a row to be successful. If you're using a 6-sided die, you will need to get a 6 or higher. If you feel like your character might have a bonus to this, you could add a +1. So you might succeed on a 5 or a 6. 15 or higher for a d20 roll. And for those of you rolling on the table, you roll twice on the table, but instead of like when it was easy, you're going to take the worst of your 2 rolls. So if you roll failure and critical success, unfortunately you don't get to take the critical success, you'll have to take the failure. Okay? So roll to see if you were successful in spotting what you spot before it spots you. I'll give you a moment to roll, and we will continue. Alright, I hope you have your rolls. When you look to your right, just off the side, you see a creature staring at you. You didn't notice it at first because its skin is oddly bark-like, as if it was made of wood. If you spotted this creature, if you saw the troll, it's going to say, "Hi, how are you?" If you don't see it, and you're still looking around, you're going to hear a cough. "Hey, this is my home." I see someone got 4 heads in a row, so they were able to spot this creature. So it says to you, "Hi, how are you?" Do you stop and do you speak to this troll, who appears to be made of bark and wood, or do you turn and continue, maybe very quickly, down the path? If you run away, the troll will not stop you. It will do nothing. It'll just say, "Bye," as you leave. But if you stay and talk to it, you'll be happy to answer some questions. And upon further examination, and as this troll moves, you can see that it is in fact not made of bark, but it is actually wearing many bark-like clothing items. You're not sure if this is camouflage or if this is just a fashion style, but his entire body, covered from head to toe, is covered in bark. Little pieces here, little pieces there, all of different kinds. He'll be happy to talk to you for a moment. He'll ask you, "Did you come from the cave? You can choose how you answer. If you say yes, he'll say, oh, you're a sleeper. And if you say no, he'll say, oh, I was hoping a sleeper may come this way with some mushrooms. He says very slowly. If you're talking to him, he'll ask you, Did you come from that cave? Do you happen to have any mushrooms? So if in the cave earlier you went down the path along the side instead of taking the minecart and you were able to get any mushrooms earlier, you could potentially trade these now with the troll. I so very love those mushrooms, but I'm not allowed to go into the cave. So I have to rely on sleepers waking up and bringing them. If you ask him what a sleeper is, he'll say, oh, I don't know. They just come this way sometimes. Always from the cave. Oh, always from the cave. If you trade with this troll, he will let you, as he says, you can take an item from my junk pile. I've got a lot of different things. Sometimes people come and try to take them. I don't really have much use for them. I just like mushrooms and all the food that grows in the forest. If you trade a mushroom with him, you will be allowed to look at his junk pile. Are you going to trade with him? Are you just going to leave? Someone has mushrooms in the comments. Are you going to trade? If you give him a mushroom, he will let you choose a single item. And when you get to his junk pile, you see that it is not so much junk as it is perhaps a small treasure hoard. There are magical items of all sorts. You see swords and wands. You see staves. Like the pile of weapons you saw before, but definitely much, much nicer. You may take one of these magical items. This will give you bonuses when you attack things in combat using that item. You can choose if that's an extra coin flip. You can choose if that is a little added number to your roll. I see some of you are trading. He'll say, thank you, and he'll immediately take the mushrooms and he'll hide them in a little pile of mushrooms he has. You can see that he has all sorts of food type things made from these mushrooms. After some time, he'll say, well, you should get going. And he will settle back in. And as he blends into the trees and as he settles and sits, you can see that this bark makes him look as if he is almost a tree himself. So if you went down the left path, fill out your character sheet. What happened? Who did you meet? What did you do? Did you gain anything? And now we will go to those who traveled down the right path. The one where you might have smelled a sweet, sweet smell coming from. If you travel down the right path, instead of the troll, you will see a cabin. It is just plopped right here in the middle of the woods. And from that you see the smoke, and you can smell the sweet smell. The aroma of food and baked bread is evidently clear as you enter this area. You have not smelled food like this and you don't know how long because your memory is a bit fuzzy. As you stand wondering if you should approach or not, you are met by a woman in a robe. She has a somewhat large nose and kind of a large chin and looks a little off, but she greets you and she says, Hello, welcome. I did not expect any travelers here today. I was just preparing lunch. Did you want to come and join me? So Rishi, if you went right, not left, this is actually the story you experienced. But you can choose which one you want, I suppose, since you ended up doing the troll story as well. Please come in. I haven't had guests. I'd be happy to have you. She walks in and opens the door to her cabin, leaving it open for you. Do you come and join her? Do you hop into the cabin with her to enjoy some lunch with the stranger? Or do you continue moving? Hi, Kristen. I see you hopping in. Anyone who's just hopping in, we are right in the middle of our journey. You're traveling down a wooded path, and you've just chosen to go left or right. If you're traveling right, you have met a woman who's inviting you into her cabin for lunch. If you decide to go in, you will see a very simple cabin. It's all furniture made of wood. And hanging on the walls are all sorts of different sizes of boots. There's tons and tons and tons of different sizes of boots in varying quality and states of repair. As you come into the cabin, she'll say, just be nice, okay? And then steps inside. With that odd warning, you enter. Her hut, like I said, has all different sorts, differently sized boots. You can see as she pulls her shawl down and reveals her face that she does even have some warts on her face. So she's not maybe the most nice looking lady in the world, but you can see as she prepares the food, she's very hygienic, and she makes sure to wash her hands. And when she serves you, the lunch is great. The food is amazing. She talks to you about her grandsons, her granddaughters, her nieces, her nephews. She says, if you ask her about the boots on the wall, oh, well, I have many family members, and I don't know what size shoes they wear now, so I just keep all sorts of different sizes, so if they ever come to visit, then they have shoes to wear when we go traipsing around in the wood. If you ask her if she is a witch, or if you comment on her face, her warts, or her nose, she is going to become kind of upset, a little angry, and she's not going to talk as much. And at the end of the meal, you'll start to feel very dizzy. She will ask you to leave. And if you stand up to leave, or if you stay in your chair, you will find yourself going numb, and you will pass out, falling to the ground. You will awaken back at the cave at the start of this episode with a small note. You need to learn to be nicer. And you'll have to start your journey over from there. If, however, you went through lunch and you didn't mention anything about her face, and you didn't say anything about her being a witch, then you're going to have a perfectly pleasant lunch. Nothing bad will happen, and you will feel great. You will actually regain 3 hit points. So if you are damaged at all, then you regain those 3 hit points. She'll wave to you as you continue on down the road. So if you went right and you had lunch with the lady who might have been a witch, please fill it out. Did you have a good lunch? Did you end up waking up at the cave? Are you having to start your journey over when we finish? So fill that out, and then let's continue on with our story. The road goes higher, steadily climbing ever since you left the cave. Perhaps this is why you could not see anything when you climbed a tree. Is your character tired? Do they enjoy the hike? Are they having fun here in the woods? Are they finding themselves at peace deep within the forest? Do they miss the city? Are they thinking of only a hearth and a warm, soft bed? Where's your character at right now in their own personal journey? The path continues to rise, and you see stairs. Just small pieces of wood wedged into the ground to create simple steps. How does your character go up the stairs? Do they skip them? Do they jump as many as they can? Do they go off the trail entirely? Do they compulsively count each step? Maybe going back to see if they missed something? How is your character climbing these stairs? What is their internal feeling now? You've been traveling for almost 4 hours hiking through the woods, so your muscles are sore. Your tunic, your clothing sticks to your body from the sweat, and it is slightly warm here in the wood. As you reach the crest of this hill, you come out to an even path. And fortunately, from where you're at, you have a glimpse of these people standing on the road. You can almost immediately tell that these are unsavory folk. They're wearing furs and leathers that don't appear to have been cleaned at any point in their existence. They have weapons that are unsheathed, meaning they're drawn and they are out. These appear to be bandits waiting for prey on the road. This is not a good situation. You're going to have to figure out how to get past, because the only way forward is past them. So you have choices. The choices I present, but also maybe one that I don't. Do you sneak past these creatures, or sorry, these bandits? Do you sneak past them and attempt to go into the woods and totally subvert the road? Do you attempt to fight them? Do you go head to head, not wanting these bandits to hurt anyone else that might pass along? Or do you try to trick them with a spell, or maybe something else? Maybe you set up a small trap? I'm going to give you a moment to consider your action, because this is an important scene. These bandits look rough and like they do not play nicely. Will you sneak past? Will you fight them? Or will you attempt to trick them? Hi Ben, I just see you popping in. We are on a wooded path attempting to exit a forest, but we have come across some bandits. How are we going to get past them is what we're trying to figure out right now. Alright, I hope you've had enough time to consider. I'm going to start going through the options and what happens. If you attempt to sneak past them, tune in. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need 2 heads in a row to sneak past them. If you're using a standard 6-sided die, you're going to need 4 or higher. And if you're using a d20, you're going to need to get a 12 or higher. If you are rolling on your table, you will roll once and take it, whatever it is. Some of you have magic potions. The bandits may like to get their hands on that. So if you're trying to sneak past, I'll say that one more time. You need 2 heads in a row. If you're rolling a d6 or a standard die, you'll need a 4 or higher. Or if you're using a d20, you will need a 12 or higher. If you're trying to make up your own rules, have someone close their eyes and see if they can hear you moving through the room. See if you can try to be sneaky. Alright, if you decide to try to fight them, which if you are caught while you are sneaking, you can choose to attempt to fight them as well. You don't just have to give up. If you choose to fight them, this is going to be a little harder. There are 3 of them, and they look like they're pretty experienced. So if you're flipping coins, you're going to need 4 heads in a row. 4 heads in a row to defeat them in combat. With a d6, you're going to need a 6 or higher. A 6 or higher. Remember, you can add bonuses if your character is good at fighting, but they can't be good at everything. And then if you're using a d20, that's 17 or higher. So it's a very challenging one. So to repeat, if you're successful in a fight with the bandits, you will have to get 4 heads on a coin flip, 6 or higher on a standard die roll, or a 17 or higher on a d20. On your table, you will need to roll twice and take the worst of the 2 options. Okay? That is it for fight. If you lose the fight or any of these actions, the bandits will take gems if you have them, or anything valuable that you have. If you got a magic item and you did not fight them, they will not take that. But if you revealed it during a fight, they will absolutely take the magic item that you may have just gotten from the troll. And you are going to lose 5 HP if you fight them and lose, because they're going to beat you up a little bit after they take your stuff. So we've done sneak and fight. Final action is trick. You can trick them with a spell or something else. Actually, I will reveal at this point that this is the easiest of the actions. These bandits are not very intelligent, though they are good with their weapons. So for this one, to trick them, you're going to need 2 heads in a row, a 2 or higher on a d6 or a standard die roll, or an 8 or higher on a d20. And on those coin flips, you can actually reflip one of them if you get a tail. Okay, so for a trick to be successful, you need 2 heads on a coin flip, getting to reflip one of them, a 2 or higher on a d6 roll or a standard die roll, and then an 8 or higher on a d20 roll. And if you trick them, you may have a chance to go through their ill-gotten gains. They have a pile of gold behind them. And if you trick them or succeed in sneaking past or succeed in fighting them, you will gain 10 gold pieces, a coin made out of gold that you know is currency in the land you live in. So that is the end of our bandit encounter, but is there something that you thought of that I didn't think of? Did you play out another action? Did you create something else? How did you do against the bandits? Alright, let's fill in our character sheet once more. For example, he left the cave, he found a print, it was fresh, he had lunch with a witch, and he was nice so she didn't try to eat me, and then he snuck past some bandits successfully. He didn't steal anything, our character sheet, he didn't take from them. So fill in your character sheet as we move in toward the conclusion of our story for today. You've just gotten past the bandits. If they beat you, they let you go, but with less stuff. And you can see that the wood is beginning to clear. The trees are beginning to thin. There are less and less between them. You can see even way far, possibly at the end of that dirt path, is a village. Do you start rushing forward? Do you take your time, enjoying your stroll? As you move out of the forest, you see the rolling hills ahead of you, and you see what looks to be a very peaceful hamlet, a small, simple village of stone cottages. You don't see any sheep in the field where they should be grazing, though they are there in that picture. Where are the sheep? It is then that you hear the sound of chaos, and maybe destruction. As you get closer to the town, you see that there's a large castle, and you can see a commotion from just outside the castle base. People are screaming. There's a fire. What could possibly be happening over there? What is going on? You have to get closer to find out anything. And as you do, you see something concerning. A large giant is moving through the town. He is laden with things he has stolen from the villagers. Pigs are swinging from his belt. He has them tied up. He's got little harnesses around them, and he's carrying them. He's got cows over his shoulder. He's stolen grain, and everyone is just cowering in fear. They're trying to hide behind their buildings. You can see the militia is on the other side of town. They're donning their armor. They're grabbing their spears, but they're slow. They're not professional soldiers. They're not heroes. They're not ready yet. And even when they are ready, you can see that the giant has blocked their path. The giant has made a building collapse, and they won't be able to get to him quickly. It appears as if he's going to escape with everything that these villagers have gathered in their storage. This would be horrible during the winter. And we will end our story there. What is going to happen next time? Are you going to attempt to intervene with this giant who is raiding this village and taking their things? Are you going to hide? Are you going to try to get out safely? What are you going to do? This will be for you to decide next time on Into the Dungeonverse. Thank you for joining us today for another story here and for another episode of our show. We really appreciate having you. This was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm interested to hear your stories and how it works out. Thank you for tuning in to some real inspired learning for all. And remember to always pursue your passion until it becomes your talent. We'll see you next time on Into the Dungeonverse. Thanks for being here. And I forgot to say that there's a special episode coming up next, right after me. So make sure to stay tuned. I think you'll like it. Alright, see you later.